What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is season 10, episode 15. And y'all, when I tell you I see why the Scotts don't talk about their raggedy ass marriages, oh baby, I see why. Because not only do the men play in their face, these girls are dumb. The girls are dumb. But let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, we start this episode off with Tisha going to see the new Scout office. Y'all, I am so surprised that they have kept the name Scout. And the reason why I'm saying that is because they don't work with Martell no more. There's no reason to continue that name, especially when businesses change names all the time. I don't understand why they didn't get a new one. But nonetheless, she sees the office. Here's the thing. It wasn't even finished, okay? A lot of it's done, but it's not finished. And she's looking at the office like, oh yeah, this is nice, but what about my office? Tisha, you have been trying to get an office out of your husband for seasons now. Girl, just rent a space. Like, it is not going to kill you to rent a suite to do your business out of. It's really not going to kill you. Hell, if Destiny can work out of a storage unit, I think that you could go rent a space. Why are you waiting for your husband to go build something? Make it make sense. So he's feeling some type of way because he's trying to tell her that, you know, he's taking on all these projects. And yes, they're going to eventually get done, but not at the pace that she wants. I need Tisha to get a fucking reality check. That, girl, y'all are all wanting too much. And Marsau spreads himself absolutely too thin when it comes to work. Think about it, y'all. When it comes to his family and friends, discounted work that he's been doing, the list is long. You have the original house that they were living in. The original house, because I don't think they sold it. They were supposed to be renovating that. The house that they moved into, he had to renovate that house. There's the Scott Manor, which absolutely makes no fucking sense that they even want to have Scott Manor, because those kids are going to be grown. They're going to be in college as far as the girls go, and their son is absolutely not going to want to have to go back to that house. So what are we building these huge mega size houses if it's only you and your husband there, Tisha? Make it make sense. I would have respected it more if y'all would have bought that land and built multiple properties on it. You could have put some family homes on it, and that way you can rent them out, make some money, sell them, something. But for you to want Scott Manor, get a grip. Get a fucking grip. And I feel like Marsau has already realized that it does not make sense to have Scott Manor, but Tisha is still in La La Land. Oh, and I'm not done on all the things that he was trying to build, y'all. We also have this Scout office. Tisha wants her office. Let's not forget, he was supposed to be working on a spot for Kimmy, because Kimmy was doing what, a restaurant? Marsau, you got way too many family and friends discounted construction clients. It's way too many. And the majority of the people is your wife. That's the first thing. Not only does he have that, I'm pretty sure Marsau, his company is also building apartments and all the shit that he normally is, building. So for Tisha to sit up here and be like, well, can't your team work on both? Girl, the man needs to finish one task at a time. And for you to feel like, oh my gosh, he keeps pushing me on the back burner. Tisha, because your thing isn't real. Let's call a thing a thing. Your shit ain't real. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, listen, Tisha, you've been saying that you need an office for your little real estate for seasons now. And the thing about doing real estate and all of that, if she's a real estate agent, she could go work under another broker for a little bit of time. Girl, why can't you and Kimmy team up since both y'all are doing real estate? Make that shit make sense. I don't understand what's happening here. But again, for you to feel like your little office is such a priority, it's like, well, girl, which one do you want? You want the house fixed, or do you want an office? Like, be so for real. But nonetheless, y'all, we're going to go ahead and move on from there. So in the next scene, y'all, we have Kimmy and Maurice. And when I tell you these two right here, I don't even understand it. I don't get it at all. Maurice comes in, he's feeling away because his son Monster, he's not doing right. He's not keeping his grades up. And basically, Maurice tried to bargain with his son to say, hey, if you keep your grades up, I'll get you a car. So what did his son do? Get his grades up for the moment. Maurice bought the car. The grades are back down. The car's in the fucking driveway. Or it's in a garage collecting dust. And I'm just kind of like, okay, so what did you expect? I just feel like Maurice is a horrible parent. And he's waiting on any and everybody else to pick up the slack and pick up the blame, when really it's him. He is the fucking problem. And y'all, here's my thing. The same way how he made such a big deal about his son coming to live with him. And it's like, nigga, for what? If we want to be honest, Monster might have done better living with his mama. Because she had a husband. He seemed like he was a cool dude. I think he may have been better off staying with his mama. And you see him in the summertime like you normally did. Because how many times have we seen conversations about Monster? Like, at what point are you going to actually parent instead of keep lecturing and making it seem like you got all the answers? Because you don't. Even though you going to sit up here later and say how you don't trust therapy because people ain't got all the answers. Well, nigga, you think that you got all of them? So what are we talking about? Then another thing that confused me was when he was like, oh, well, he wants to be like Jalen. Baby, Jalen in what capacity? Because are you referring to the Jalen when he was around that boy's same age? Around 17 years old? Because let's call a thing here. Your son wasn't even around Jalen like that back in the day because he was at his mama house in Michigan. So you mean the Jalen, the current Jalen, the one who has his college degree, the one who is working, the one who has built himself up, the one who owns a house, like he has a rental property. I'm sorry. Your son wants to be like that man and put in no type of effort. In what way, shape, or form does it seem like he even wants to be like Jalen? I'm trying to understand because I don't see it. And then for you to sit on this motherfucking TV and Kimmy, you let this nigga play in your motherfucking face to say, well, with Jalen, we didn't have to do much about his grades. We didn't have to do this, that, another. Nigga, you didn't do shit. What are you talking about? You did not do a motherfucking thing for Jalen. Jalen has already said you came in as a fucking buddy, as a friend. You was just that nigga fucking on his mama and he tolerated your ass. Are we okay right now? Because it definitely seems like when it came down to raising Jalen, that was all Kimmy. Kimmy has instilled stuff in her son since he was probably born, okay? And she has raised him well. And for you to sit up here and say, we, nigga, ain't no we. You didn't put in no motherfucking work in this. I thought that was absolutely crazy. And I'm like, Kimmy, I'm surprised that you didn't say, well, I don't know about us raising Jalen, because I raised Jalen. Okay? So, I mean, y'all, I just find this to be so crazy for that nigga to try to spin it as if we did not start the season with Jalen saying how he was not there. He was not a good, guy to come in as a parental figure. Or am I tripping? Like the way that man just spews bullshit on the daily, I said, Kimmy, I don't understand how you do it. So Kimmy has to try to explain to this man how times are different from when he grew up, which they absolutely are. Now, as far as core values, you should absolutely be able to instill that in your children. However, times have changed. You have to take on a different approach, right? Y'all, in the confessional, this man is going on to tell us about how his dad went to jail, right? And at the time, they had some people who were around that were bad influences, right? Y'all, as fucked up as this sound, the only thing I could think was, oh, did some of you and your brothers start dealing dope? Because the nigga is in his 50s. And if, nigga, you are in your 50s, that means you absolutely was young during what, the 80s? Oh, yeah. If anything, y'all might have sold a little dope. But nigga, who didn't? Hell, I would rather y'all be selling it than doing it, okay? But nonetheless, The only thing I started to think, I said, well, y'all, if he was in the dope gang, I know it was very quick that he was out, because this nigga's lazy. So I know for sure he was not selling nothing. He got out real quick, okay? But moving on from there, we learned that they are going to do some therapy, even though he feels like he needs something that's tangible. Nigga, you just want to hear yourself speak because you only feel like you are right. But we're going to get to that a little bit later. Y'all, we jump on over to the Fletchers. Nell ends up updating her husband on the little girls' day out. And he's just confused because he's like, what the fuck is the problem? What is this issue that Tisha got with you? And she is trying to tell him, like, well, you know, it's y'all. It's the husbands. The husbands are the problem. And I completely understand why Chris is sitting there in confusion and definitely thinking like, baby, this is just some bullshit, okay? Because he's like, it's crazy that when it comes to social media, the Scotts don't want to talk about anything that's on social media, right? However, when it comes to what everybody else got going on, if it happens on social media, they be the first ones to bring it up. And I say, yeah, definitely. For sure. What's her name? Tisha, we've seen you do it so many times. And for you and Kimmy to sit up here and be like, oh no, we don't want to talk about that. When your fucking castmate is the one who did the interview. This is not like a situation where a blogger did an interview with some random woman. Your own castmate did the fucking interview. So yeah, y'all should speak on it. What are you talking about? So, of course, he's trying to ask his wife, right? Chris is still confused, trying to figure out how can we move forward. And he's like, okay, well, have you talked about her? And Nell was like, yeah, I said that, you know, she done talked about my marriage and she don't want nobody talking about hers, because if I start talking, I'm going to start naming names. And I'm like, please do. Because I feel like that's the problem with Tisha in this whole situation. Nobody has put Tisha in her motherfucking place when it comes to her husband. All we got is, oh, we heard Marsau did this. We heard Marsau did that. No, name them. Name the people that he messing around with. Because somebody needs to humble her ass at this point. Now, moving on, y'all. Tisha has a therapist come over to the house, right? Here's my thing. Her husband had no idea that this woman was even going to be there. Okay? Just sprung it on him. I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. Why would you do that? But okay, girl. So according to Tisha, they got married quickly when they were young. And basically they thought they were just going to learn each other as they go. And here's the thing. You do learn your person as you go, because people are ever changing. People are always growing, right? But this is where things got a little wonky for me, because Tisha, she literally tells that woman, because at this point Marsau has come home, he's joining into the process, and she gonna tell this lady, well, you know, I feel like we just kind of lack intimacy to where, you know, I just want to like get a hug sometimes, and let it not lead to sex. And Marsau is looking at her crazy, because he like, girl, what are you talking about? I'm the one who's always like, oh my gosh, I just want a hug from my wife. It's you who always have things lead to sex. I said, Tisha, why the fuck did you lie? Of all the things to lie about, this is weird. And y'all know what is so interesting to me is to see the parallels, or should I say the vast differences between Marsau and Maurice in this episode is crazy. Because you have Maurice who's about to show his ass, okay, in that next scene that he got with Kimmy, versus Marsau, who seems to have no problem with intimacy, just them being together, okay? Not sexual at all. And I'm like, this is polar opposite, okay? So basically, as they go on to do the exercises that the therapist told them to do, we do have Marsau basically questioning Tisha about, like, girl, why'd you lie? Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's always me that just wants a hug, right? What threw me off is the fact that she brushed it off and then completely changed the subject. Because she went on to tell him, oh, well, you know, when I was looking into your eyes right now, it just kind of let me know that you love me. And I said, so Tisha, you not going to take no accountability? You not going to be like, you know what? I did say that and I misspoke. You know what I'm saying? I hate to have to be on a man's side. But in this moment, I feel like Tisha did not explain why she lied to the therapist. And then we go on to bring up Nell and how she has to defend Marsau all the time. And here's my issue with this whole situation. Marsau, it's very crazy that you have never defended yourself. Like, at a certain point as a man, you should be able to shut down all the things that people are saying about you. Because at the end of the day, not only do you make your wife look crazy, but to the public, people are dogging your wife for sticking with you. Then you have other people on the show who are using things that people have said about you for years against your wife. Why are you allowing your wife to be in that position? Oh, right, because you don't care what people say. But at the end of the day, it keeps hurting Tisha. Like, I don't understand how he does not get that. And basically, he's telling her how, I don't care how you respond to people, but you basically shouldn't let that stuff affect you. Are you crazy? If people are constantly saying things about you and your husband and your relationship, that definitely is going to affect you. Because honestly, y'all, I don't even think it's the stuff that people say on the TV show. It's absolutely what people are saying on social media. Because let's be honest, you can't really escape social media at this point. And the amount of people that have watched this show over the years that have dragged Tisha and dragged Marsau, like, come on. All right, but enough of those Scots. We got to get to 2.0 and their foolishness because, my God, Kimmy, what did you sign up for? So basically, there is this counseling session that happens between the Scott 2.0 and their counselors that go by the marriage menders, right? Now, they give them a task where they have to hold a sheet of paper and basically they are both holding on to things that are important to them. However, at the end of the conversation, one person is going to have to give up something, right? Baby, I already knew from the start of this, Maurice wasn't going to give up nothing, okay? Because he's very stubborn. So, of course, we break it down to Kimmy wants more quality time with this man. And for him to say, oh, that ain't gonna happen, that was the one thing that I was just like, Kimmy, that right there should have been means for you to say, what do you mean that's not gonna happen? So you're not even gonna try to see my side? Like, what are we doing here? That's the first thing. Also, for him to basically tell her that the only way I can give you quality time is if we have more sex, that is crazy. Throughout this entire conversation, y'all, that man never said that he wanted to make love to his wife. Not at one time. And I'm just like, Kimmy, I don't understand how you have tolerated all of these things about Maurice. Like, where are the good qualities? I don't see it. I don't understand it at all. Like, Maurice is clearly a sex addict. That's the first thing. Secondly, as we have watched the show, we have noticed he just springs things on you. For example, his son moving in. Remember, he didn't even want to have a conversation with you that Monster was moving in. Okay, you were the last to know. Also, we've learned that he was not that active as a parent to Jalen, which is your son. Okay, that should have been red flag number 1 way back in the day. On top of that, you had a good job. You were a nurse. Everybody loved you at your job. You loved being a nurse, but you let this man basically tell you that you need to leave your job to do what? Because last time I checked, Kimmy is supposed to do some type of real estate. Y'all, what does Kimmy really do? Like, dead ass, what does Kimmy do? Besides be on this TV show? Because I ain't seen it. I don't know what that lady do. Like, if anything, I feel like this man has changed you for the worse. And the fact that this show can replay the multiple times that y'all have constantly had the same conversation over him trying to get on top of you multiple times a day is crazy. Like, at what point are you going to wake up and be like, this man don't really love me. I'm just a warm body to him. Because let's not forget, baby, you went through cancer. And that man did not give a damn. The only thing he cared about, again, was getting on top of you. And literally in this scene, y'all, we have the therapist, they step in, and basically the question was, oh, like, what makes you think that a woman wants to even have sex that much? And his response is, well, I was told coming up that I can lay down longer than you can stand up, or something like that. I'm sorry, sir, what? Who told you that? And for him to say that was a saying that he heard when he was growing up, I'm just like, sir, we also heard step on a crack, that'll break your mama's back. But we didn't believe that. We know that's not true either. I'm just confused by the Arrested Development. Because let's not forget, this man is like 50-something years old. This is not a young guy. I can understand if Maurice was going through this when he was like in his early 20s. But no, he's in his 50s. You're too old for this conversation to even be a thing. Like, I just don't understand. So then he makes the analogy of, oh, well, it's like having a refrigerator. Like, if I want to go to the refrigerator like 3 to 4 times a day, then I should be able to just do that. I'm sorry, sir, what? So you mean to tell me that Kimmy is just supposed to be open like a gas station? And whenever you feel like it, that's what she's supposed to do, just take it? Like, he really just do his business on top of her and then roll over. Like, Kimmy, why are you settling for this? You do realize that this ain't the 1800s. You do realize that this is not way, way back in the day where women did not have any other options. Like, girl, this is borderline something he should be going to jail for. Because it is very clear that you don't want to do it all the time. And last time I checked, no means no. So what are we doing? Now, y'all, they decided to bring this whole thing around town to this man in his childhood. And I can't lie, I gave it a side eye. Because basically we learned that in Maurice's childhood, his father put a lock on the refrigerator because them boys was not about to eat them out of house at home. Okay? Now, that's a saying that's true. Since we want to bring up stuff that we heard back in the day, Maurice. A boy and a man will absolutely eat you out of house and home. And y'all had, 6 boys or something crazy like that? Yeah. The daddy put a lock on the refrigerator. Maurice was probably a big boy and he wants to go on the refrigerator all the time. Daddy had to put a stop to that, right? So the therapist is saying, like, basically that is probably where the issue started. And how did he self-soothe? And he said it was because of a nudie magazine. Y'all, so I'm sorry, I don't see the correlation. You not eating food has nothing to do with you looking at nude women in a magazine. I think any teenage boy, especially if they grew up in whatever decade that he grew up as a teenager, that's all they had was nude magazines. What was it, Playboys? Or whatever else was out back in the day? I think I'm more so concerned at what age was he when he was introduced to the magazine. That's more concerning for me than him and his brother sharing this magazine. Because I feel like low-key that's what teenage boys do. And honestly, I think I was more concerned with the fact that Kimmy was the one who brought it up. Like, oh yeah, tell about the magazines that are in the ceiling, in the bathroom. And she was like laughing about it. And I'm just like, Kimmy, why are you being the one who's telling the story? I feel like that is his story to tell. He could have had a whole other thing that he was going to say. And it wasn't the magazine. We don't know because you piped up. Because to me, I think we should have asked him, so at what age did all of that start? Because that could have started him on this trajectory of having this addiction. And also, my follow-up question is, well, you were married before. Did you have the same expectations from your ex-wife that you have for Kimmy? Because this sounds like it's a pattern. Now, y'all, the way they just tried to play in our face and wrap that end up with a bow, though, was crazy. Because the therapist ended up telling Kimmy to tell him exactly how she felt, right? And she's going on about how she knows all the things that he has gone through in his childhood and how she feels so bad for him and all of this stuff. And I'm just like, listen, that man is 50-something years old, okay? And I understand people's childhood can absolutely affect them. But at what point do we get to say, sir, you are making grown people decisions. You've been making grown people decisions for over 25 years. I don't understand how this related all the way back to him in that damn refrigerator. And for her to basically say that she basically feels like she deserves certain things and he still ain't getting it. According to him, he's going to eventually get it. But sir, you're not even trying to put in any type of effort. Like, y'all, I'm sorry, but this whole therapy session was a bust for me. Because I feel like nothing is going to change about Maurice. Nothing. Kimmy, this is what you signed up for. And then for us to end this with the therapist congratulating Maurice for even doing therapy, I'm like, is everybody losing their marbles? Like, what is not clicking? Because that man never said he was going to actually make an effort. He never said, you know what, I hear what you're saying. I don't ever want to make you feel like, the time that we spend, it can only be during sex. I actually am going to try to make this quality time thing happen for us. We did not hear any of that. So I'm not even understanding what we just watched. But y'all, that was the episode. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Maybe y'all have a different perspective than I do. Please drop it down in the comments. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.